You get a phone call. Yo. Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, friends, enemies, and comrades, I hope you're doing well wherever you are. This is Kenya Revolutionary. I hope you're doing well wherever you are, whatever you are doing, whatever you are with. Anyway, just a quick session. Just a quick session. It's been a while. I've been off for what, 12 days now? 7? Something like that. I just wanted to make a quick video. Just a quick video. It's a late night live. If you're in Kenya, it's probably like what, past midnight. Okay. So when you wake up, hopefully you'll see this live and you get to comment. As I usually say, the first order of business is to do what? Like the video. And if you haven't subscribed, subscribe. Okay. So you can get the live session. When I go live, you can always get me. Okay. I won't stay here for long. I'll be probably 15 to 20 minutes, 30 minutes max, because I got stuff going on. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, friends, enemies, and comrades, today we are going to talk about the topic 200 million bribe from Sakaja to Raila. Without wasting any of your time, let's get to it. Now, this has been making rounds, and we've heard from none other than, is it Cyrus or Cyprus Nyakundi? Apparently Cyrus Nyakundi, Mr. Nyakundi, let me call it that. Maybe I'm messing up his first name. I kind of forgot. But he wrote on his Twitter page that, he got some message from ODM insiders that Sakaja had to bribe Super MCA, as they call him, Raila Odinga. If you're wondering what I'm talking about, basically, Sakaja has been messing up. Everybody knows this. There's a lot of, you had that Auditor General came up with a report and says that there's some money missing in Nairobi County, and the place is a mess, okay? We hear about Sakaja buying houses in the US, South Africa, whatever, okay? So, and this guy, after that Auditor General came up with the report, Senator Sifuna actually, and among others, summoned Sakaja to show up at the Senate. Okay, remember that? And he had up to the 24th of this month, of this month. When is today? Today is the 20. Today is 29th. Okay, in Kenya it's probably 30th. But I'm just saying he had up until the 24th to show up to the Senate and answer questions about, the money that was missing that could not be accounted for. The 24th have passed, come and gone. It's 29th already, 30th in Kenya. And there seems to be, nobody is asking questions. Nobody's asking where Sakaja is. We remember that that exchange between that lady from, was it NTV or Citizen TV, where Sakaja showed up and he was like, oh, I'm not hiding, I'm here, but he will not show up at the Senate to take questions from Sifuna, among others. Sifuna is the senator for Nairobi County, so he would be the one responsible for oversight. Not only him, but Senate in general, they oversight the counties, okay? But Sakaja never showed up. It's, even I remember Sifuna writing in his Twitter saying that Koome, the Inspector General, the head police, to produce Sakaja if he doesn't show up by 24th. But we all know Sakaja never showed up. So he's running around. He showed up in that Citizen TV and was dodging questions left, right, and center. And that story just fizzled out like that. And nobody, Sakaja doesn't have to answer to anyone. So anyway, coming back to Nyakundi. So a few days after that, Nyakundi came out with this tweet, and he mentioned that Raila Odinga, the head of the ODM party, the owner basically, that's how he uses that political party to get his money, and chooses nominates his candidates depending on who gives it the most money. But that's besides the point. Anyway, so Nyakundi wrote that Raila Odinga was given 200 million Kenyan shillings, which is about 20, is it $2 million or $20 million, $2 million, something like that. US dollars, that is, to kind of tell the MCAs in Nairobi not to bother Sakaja, okay? Because the ODM senators, the MCAs, the majority of the MCAs in Nairobi County are Azimio members of the Azimio, okay? So Sakaja basically gave Raila Odinga, allegedly, 200 million Kenyan shillings so that he does not get impeached. And I've been asking myself, why is it that Tuko Kwa Ground, that group by Babu Owino and Mwa whatever, I forgot her name, and Peter Kitera and the rest, why are they not speaking up against Sakaja? Sakaja should be impeached by all indications, okay? He's a failure in Nairobi. He has failed Nairobi. Same thing can be argued about Siaya Governor Orengo, who has misappropriated more than I don't know how many millions. We heard from his deputy and others. I mean, again, so coming back to Nairobi, before I get to this governor of Siaya, coffee break. Okay. There was a lot of brouhaha, outrage within, there was a lot of outrage within the Twitter sphere, or X, should I say, where people like Robert Alai was, making a lot of noise on Twitter, and none other than Professor Makao Mutua told him, hey, listen, instead of writing all this stuff in the Twitter, you're an MCA in Nairobi, stop complaining about the state of Nairobi, county of Nairobi, how it's terrible. You're the MCA, impeach the guy, impeach Sakaja. And Alai avoided that question by actually deflecting, by saying that, hey, Makao Mutua, people like you are the reason why Raila Odinga did not win the presidency, because he relied on your advice. So, and your story, Kaishapo, one of them blocked the other. I don't know who, if Makao Mutua blocked him, or actually it was Robert Alai who blocked Makao Mutua, Professor Makao Mutua, okay? Now your story, Kaishapo, but Makao Mutua was raising a good question. He was like, hey, listen, Robert Alai, instead of making noise on Twitter, you're an MCA. Why can somebody put on a motion is remove Sakaja? Sakaja is not fit to stay in office. The guy is grossly incompetent and is irredeemably corrupt. Okay? So then the bombshell dropped by Nyakundi, which kind of makes sense because now everyone has gone mum over the atrocities, the sins of Mr. None other than Sakaja. I made a video before. If you look at one of my old videos, I mentioned that Sakaja, if he was to go toe-to-toe with Babu Owino will not be the governor of Nairobi. And I said it's not a matter of lack of enough votes. The people might choose Babu Owino to be the next governor. But as we know, if 200 million is enough to make Raila, tell his MCAs to not go for Sakaja, you can imagine maybe 500 mil will make Raila turn a blind eye to Sakaja's next quest for re-election. And trust me, remember what Stalin said, it's not the people who vote that determine an election, it's the people who count the vote are the ones who really actually determine the election. So I said, I argue this, if I was Babu Owino, I would not run against Sakaja, because Sakaja, he has the backing of the president. The president need him to stay in government, to be the governor. And on the other hand, Sakaja has discovered that Raila is a con artist that, can be bribed, sold, just like anybody else. It's a price. Give him money, and he will tell Babu Owino to stand down, okay? So, again, I said I was right on the money when I said, even though majority of people feel like Babu Owino is the next governor of Nairobi, Sakaja has the right people, knows the right people, is being backed by the powers that be. So he will maintain his position till 2032. The only way Sakaja can be removed is through impeachment. Azimio is, they have the votes on the Ninio MCA in the Nairobi County. Again, that has been derailed because Baba amelipwa, amepewa yo pesa. So that's not going to happen. Anyway, we'll go through a few tweets and we'll see what's being said, because it's an unfortunate incident. You know, if we have leaders, and I've always mentioned this in other platforms that I attend and participate in, you know, we can highlight 1,000 things that's wrong with this government. But the underlying factor, the main reason why we are going through what we are going through as Kenyans is because nobody respects the rule of law. Nobody cares about the Constitution. And when you get in trouble, as long as you have money and you know a couple of people upstairs, you're not going to serve time. And there's nothing, you'll not be held accountable. Even Babu Owino himself, I mean, he shot somebody on camera. We all saw that. That's attempted murder. But all he did was pay a couple of people, rub shoulders with the right people, and here he is running a political party, a political outfit, telling us that he's the leader of the people on the ground. So on both sides, whether you look at it, Kenyans are doomed. That's why I tell people that whilst we might be excited by the people like the professor, the former Daystar professor, what's his name, Ogola, you know, who's out there telling us about Hewa Safi. Let me just tell him this and his followers. Your Hewa Safi will soon be Hewa Chafu, because without with that, you can have wonderful ideas, but as long as you're in a corrupt system, you will go nowhere. Okay, if you're dealing with a corrupt system, if you are living in a corrupt system, you cannot, and if you don't have the power, okay, if you don't have the mantle, the tools of power, the power apparatus, okay, if you do not have that, you can not revolutionize the system. The only way to revolutionize the system is to get out of that corrupt system and fight it head on. Okay? Now, you might disagree with me and say, what are you talking about? We've seen many places where, you know, people revolutionize the system from within. But you have to remember that if you look at the Kenyan case is a unique one. For example, we have Professor Ogola. He's telling us wonderful ideas. He kind of models himself as the, you know, the descendant of Tom Mboya, politically speaking, that is, and that he has fresh ideas, which his ideas kind of seem good. I mean, he's talking about some good stuff, you know, the usual stuff that we mourn about and how he can do it differently. That's why he's calling it Hewa Safi or something like that, okay? But the problem is, you know, how many people are really actually buying into his ideology or his take? I mean, let me just pose this question. The people, the Kenyan people, if they see him on the battles, or if they see Professor Gola in the campaign trail, the first question is, who are you? You know, how much money do you have? Who do you think you are to run against the likes of William Ruto, Raila Odinga? I mean, I'm just giving you the attitude of the Kenyan people, the majority of the Kenyan people, because we've been conditioned to believe that you can only be someone who has been in the system for a long time and have lots of money in order to actually challenge the status quo. That's why I say, in the Kenyan context, the only way we can revolutionize the system is if we have a radical who either operates from outside the system, an outsider who's radical and is uncompromising, okay, does not associate with the people who are in power, the political class, and is uncompromising, okay? I gave an example. I mean, a perfect example was Miguna, okay? But again, even though Miguna was very, he was head on, he was taking upon the system head on, you saw what happened to him, They'll either try to get rid of you by killing you, or they'll forcefully exile you, or whatever the case is, okay? Which leaves us with one option. If you cannot operate within the corrupt political system, then you have to operate outside of it. And that's why I see the only viable way to change this corrupt political system of Kenya is through a military coup d'etat. Because, trust me, no one will rally around any leader in Kenya. Even if Professor Ogola comes in and says all those good things, we are deeply parochial. We are deeply tribalistic, okay? We think along tribal lines. If you see the name Ogola, if I'm a Kikuyu, I'll say, huyo Mjaluo simpigi simu. If I'm a simpigi kura. If I'm a Kalenjin, I'll say, huyo Mjaluo simpigi kura. If I'm a Jiken, I'll say, what is this Mjaluo? The only Mjaluo I know is Raila Odinga. You see what I'm saying? So, I don't expect someone like Ogola, regardless of how good his ideas are, not every Kenya will rally around him. Even if the Okiom Tata that we praise, that has stood up for the people, a huge chunk of the country will not rally around Okiom Tata. Simply because already people are talking about, oh, jamana lipo na Azimio. When he goes to the other side, he say, oh, jamana lipo na government. Because we are deeply tribal. So that's why I say something that people don't want to hear. But that's the only way that's going to change this political system. You have to have a case like the Burkina Faso case, where you have a true pan-African general with a huge following that will forcefully remove the powers that be and install head a government that is pro-people, okay, where things like corruption can actually mean a death sentence if you're caught and you're found guilty. So anyway, going back to what I was saying this 200 million bribe from Sakaja to Raila Odinga highlights the very problem that we face in Kenya. It's not too far-fetched, if it's true, that is, not to suggest that Raila got paid by Ruto to, stand down, basically. But anyway, let's go to tweets, a couple of tweets, then I'll wrap up. It's already 18 minutes. I'll probably stay for another 10 or less than that. So let's go through a couple of tweets as I wrap this up. I want to go to a very, very interesting couple of tweets that I saw today, which I want to mention, okay? Are you guys ready? Okay, let me go to one. Let's see. I will finish really quick. I won't stay here for long, ladies and gentlemen, brothers, sisters, friends, and comrades. I will not be here long. If only I can get this. Oh, Lord, I can. All right. So let's go to some tweets. Okay, can we read some tweets, ladies and gentlemen, brothers, sisters, friends, and comrades? Okay, I'm about to finish up, but let's read some tweets, then I shall leave it there. Like the video, ladies and gentlemen. If you're going to watch this live on repeat, do not forget to like the video, okay? Like the video, and if you have a subscribe, if you watch it and you have a subscribe, please go ahead and subscribe. All right. Can you see the screen, ladies and gentlemen, brothers, sisters, friends, and Mr. Comrades? All right, this is Cyprian Nyakundi. Cyprian, that is his name, is Nyakundi. Now he wrote, mark you, not all Nairobi Azimio MPs are happy after Super MCA Raila Odinga directed them to support and defend Sakaja, Johnson Sakaja. Some of them, while in the meeting, were WhatsApping me to tweet the developments for fear of being disciplined by the party if they complain. To give it a context, he was saying that during the meeting, Azimio MCAs in Nairobi was summoned to have a meeting with Raila Odinga, where Raila Odinga actually advised them not to go ahead with a motion to impeach Sakaja. And he's explaining that not all MPs were happy about this decision, and they were actually WhatsApping, sending messages through WhatsApp to Cyprian Nyakundi, expressing their, reservations about that meeting, why they were not happy with the situation. So, again, I usually tell people, being part of OUDA and ODM, Azimio, and all this stuff, you're just putting yourself in a jail cell. I understand why people are part of it, because they want to be elected and get some money. Your pesa, your senator, MCA, whatever the case, it's huge money. You can always be corrupt and get away with stuff. But if you're a real patriot, you will never want to be associated with UDA or Azimio or ODM or all these clown shows that we have in Kenya. All right. Anyway, another tweet that I wanted to read was from Professor Omenya, okay, who said something that was really actually raised my eyebrow. Okay. Here it is. Can you guys see it? All right. Omenya said, this is quite bold coming from him. He said, Kenya currently boasts one of its most incompetent governments, led by a fellow who never fought for any positive change, Mr. Ruto, and also its most incompetent sellout opposition, led by a perpetual sellout, Mr. Odinga. I'll read it again because this pretty much hits the nail on the coffin. Okay? Kenya currently boasts one of its most incompetent government, led by a fellow who never fought for any positive change, Mr. Ruto, and also its most incompetent sellout opposition, led by perpetual sellout, Mr. Odinga. I couldn't agree more. Odinga is a sellout, and Ruto has never fought for any progressive movement, positive progressive movement since the Kano days. This guy has always been on the wrong side of history, with the exception of that time when he was fighting for the prime ministerial position when Raila Odinga was denied the victory in 2007. And guess who was denying her? Martha Karua, who some are hailing as, oh, this iron lady, ooh, she's the best opposition. I won't go there. But this pretty much, it's a very accurate, depiction of where we are at in Kenya. We are not in a good place. And if a Professor Omenya is saying this publicly like that, calling their names, this is something that, never happened years before. People never talked about stuff like this, okay? All right. What else should I? Linturi. I mean, why is Linturi still having a position in the government? Again, we were told this is the most incompetent administration in the history. I will read Gaitho's tweet. Just give me a second. This is about Uhuru Kenyatta. Okay. Uhuru Kenyatta is busy being in Boston. He was seen in Boston watching the playoffs. Gaito wrote this: Thika Superhighway is submerged at Kahawa Sukari near KU. Kenha engineers say that developments in Northlands estate owned by Kenyatta family is blocking the flow of water downstream. Meanwhile, Uhuru Kenyatta is in USA eating life with a big spoon using stolen taxpayers' money that he primitively accumulated during his catastrophic and demonic tenure as president. I like that. His successor, William Ruto, is even worse. 20 months in office with not a single project launched. All major roads agencies haven't issued fresh tenders or paid pending bills. Together with his deputy Rigathi Gachagua, they just meet and meet and meet. They are professional meeters. Other than meetings in big tents, they have nothing else to show. I love that. Go read Gaito's stuff. But there's one thing I wanted to know as I wrap up. I said I'll be here for 30 minutes. I have basically 4 minutes. Let me wrap this up by this. An interesting tweet that I saw from none other than Miguna. That was a very, very, very. This is interesting. Let me show you this. Let me show you this, ladies and gentlemen, brothers, sisters, friends, and comrades. This was the most interesting. Let me go to Miguna. I'm going to hold on. Wait a minute. Just a second. This is something that he wrote yesterday, I believe. Right there. All right. Let's go to his Twitter page. Then I'll wrap up with this. Now, he was basically touching on, remember the incidents? There were two separate incidences that happened between the KDF and the Kenya police, where the first one was, I think there was a guy who was beat up. I don't know if it was a police officer who was beat up somewhere. Then I guess the Kenyan Defense Forces, one of them were arrested at a police station, and his buddies from the KDF went to the police station, beat up everyone, and they let one of their own go free. Then there was a second incident where we saw in the video in Likoni where, I don't know, there was some kind of an exchange between the Kenya police and the KDF, and these special forces KDF people, they actually just publicly slapped around this police officer, and they made their way to wherever they were going. So here's what Miguna wrote about that, which I had somebody else echo it, but I'll just read Miguna's part. Okay, so this is what he said, April 28th, which is yesterday. Why are pockets of Kenya's military leaving the barracks in uniform with guns to engage in public physical fights with members of Kenyan police service whose mandate is civilian order? Just to break it down, if you didn't get what he was saying, he was just basically asking, why is it, the Kenyan police are supposed to police the civilians. The KDF, the Kenyan Army, Defense Forces, are supposed to protect the civilians against foreign enemies, okay? So Jeshi should not be involved in issues of civilian issues as far as policing, maintaining the peace. They don't do that, okay? They only deal with issues when there is a enemy outside of coming from outside, okay? So basically, Miguna is asking, why are these people just leaving the barracks with uniform on, guns on them, engaging in physical fights with police officers? Well, the police officers are the guys who have the mandate to protect the civilians, okay? So here is the second one was on the previous day when Miguna was responding to Mwarimu Mutemi Wakiama, where he has the video of whatever that was happening, where he's saying, happening in Likoni Ferry, Kenya police versus KDF Rangers. Imagine citizens were being forced to chip in and mediate. Okay, where are we heading as a country? Short fuse kila mahali. And Miguna wrote as a response saying, a precipice to abyss, symptomatic of 60 years of systematic institutional chaos. This cannot be ignored, especially after the sudden and mysterious death of Kenya's CDF. I'm not going to read Miguna's mind. That's just what he said. He's not insinuating anything, but basically what he's saying is that institutionally, it has been chaotic. Our institutions have been chaotic, whether it's the KDF or the police force, and it is now more pronounced, especially after a suspicious death of none other than General Gola. And somebody's tweet, I read somebody else's tweet where they said that, maybe there might be, some people within the military force that have felt a certain way about Ogola's death. And this can lead to something bigger than what we think. Okay? So Ruto should not sit comfortably. And to be fair, again, to be also to just as I wrap up, I never touched on this Ogola stuff. I will touch on it later this week. I'll talk about that in more detail. And this is just what I want to say. With what's happening today, like literally, it's getting worse by the day. It's becoming ridiculous. Uhuru Kenyatta was a mess. Let's not get it twisted. He was a mess. But William Ruto, within this 18 months or whatever the case has been there, is glaringly obvious that this administration is incompetent to a degree where it's almost an insult to every Kenyan seeing what is happening. Whether it's flooding, fertilizer, roads, healthcare, the taxing, it's to a point where, we might fail as a state. And when I say fail as a state, I mean, I won't be surprised if somebody from the military just say, you know what, enough is enough. Because it's getting to a point where it's an insult to the wananchi. I was in another platform where somebody just highlighted how, if you guys have seen the picture where somebody died in the floods, somebody's son died in the floods, and the father just was carrying the child on the back like it was a sack of gunia. A total failure by the government. Just it just highlighted the helplessness, a feeling of defeat, helplessness by the wananchi, because the government cannot actually carry out its mandate, which is to protect its people. There's lawlessness everywhere, high taxes, corruption in every sector, ministry. Whether it's healthcare, our professionals who we depend on, like the doctors, are denied their basic pay. They have to go to the streets. I just saw it an hour ago. Walimu Pia have hit the road. They are renewal. They are protesting. And what has the opposition have to do? I mean, the face of the opposition does not care anymore because he's there to take bribes and carry out his selfish goals. He wants to be AEC. He cannot be counted on anymore. The opposition is mum because there are a bunch of people who lick Raila's ass. So if Raila doesn't tell them to speak against the opposition, the government, they can't speak about the government. So the civilians are left feeling hopeless. We are at a very dangerous juncture. That's why I don't blame people who think that maybe the military might intervene, especially given the fact that one of their beloved, one of their most decorated generals just died under very suspicious circumstances. This is a ticking time bomb. And Ruto, if you're listening, giving all these funny speeches, thinking that you are cute, and these silly promises that you're giving people, no one is laughing anymore. No one is buying into it. And same thing with you, opposition leaders, including Raila Odinga. Don't think you're safe because you're going to AUC or people feel like, oh, you're still the man, you represent them. And they feel happy for you to go into AUC or whatever, running for AU. This is a ticking time bomb that can really descend into civil war. And the military, especially after Ogola's death, I don't think they're sitting there happy with what's happening. Of course, we don't have much access as far as news happening within what's happening in the feelings in the barracks. So we don't know what's the thoughts, how the officers or junior officers are feeling there. But by the looks of things, them kind of indisciplined behavior that we see, I mean, these guys are walking around slapping police officers and getting their way. You know? So you never know. Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, friends, and comrades, it's been 36 minutes. I didn't want to stay here longer. I just wanted to give a short, brief, sweet live. I know it's late in Kenya. If you wake up and see this live, do not hesitate. Like it, share, comment, and if you haven't subscribed, subscribe. I will come in tomorrow. This was just an impromptu live session where I wanted to talk about what has been happening. There's so much that has happened that I haven't talked about. I've been out for 7 days or even more than 7 days, but I'll try to get in tomorrow so we can talk more on what's going to Kenya. And again, if you want to be part of it, I'll meet you tomorrow. I'll probably send the link and you can join in and we can have a discussion about what's going on in Kenya. My name is Kenya Revolutionary. If you don't know who I am, find me on YouTube. You're probably seeing me on YouTube. So if it just pops up in your page, like it, subscribe, share, comment. It's free. You're not going to be charged to subscribe. You're not going to be charged to like. You're not going to be charged to comment. Okay. But anyway, thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed my little short 37-minute live going on 38. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. Okay. Peace and blessings.